Hey everyone, welcome to Amberg Acres. So what I want to do today is, in one of my last videos I mentioned I ordered a chain for my chainsaw. And we're going to try and get that chain going, and we're going to try and cut those big logs out there a long way and take some of the material off so we don't have to struggle so much with it when we get it on the sawmill. So I never really talked to you yet about my chainsaws. This is my main saw, the Husqvarna 455 Rancher, and it's not a bad saw. It's heavy. Seems like it uses a lot of gas, and the one issue I seem to have with it is I can take a perfectly good sharp chain, and within a couple of cuts, it's dull. It seems like a thing is running. Like the blade speed is way too fast for the cut it's taking. So it seems like the blade gets hot right away. I have oil in there, you know, but it seems like the blade gets hot right away, and it dulls it too fast because it's like cutting too fast for what the tooth is on the chain. I don't know if that makes sense. So my other saw is the Milwaukee, which I've talked about. Now on that one, if you have a sharp chain on there, it actually doesn't have enough power. You can tell when you're cutting that the chain is taking too big of a cut, or the tooth is taking too big of a cut, that it actually bogs down the saw, you know? So it's like there needs to be more of a happy medium between the two. This one seems to burn up the blades. That one doesn't have enough power to turn the blade, you know, when you get into a cut. And then the other one I have is the old Home Light, which hasn't run for years now. And I used to like that saw. That was my trimming saw. And then once I got the electric, I didn't use that one, and now it doesn't run because it just sat, you know. But anyhow, like I say, it's not a bad saw. It's just I have a few issues with it. And I had a steel way back in the day, and that was a good saw, but I didn't want to pay the price for a steel, and that's why I ended up with the Husqvarna. And I've had this, I bet you I've had this over 20 years now, you know. But anyhow, back to these blades, or these chains, whatever you want to call them. I picked up the ripping chain, all right? So I want to show you the difference. See if you can tell the difference of the ripping chain compared to the other chain. Now, right off the bat, I see some obvious differences. So the first difference I can see is that the tooth itself is way longer than the tooth on the crosscut chain. The other thing that I see is, which is going to be really hard to see, the angle is completely different on the front of the tooth. The angle here on the front of the tooth is completely different. It's way shallower. So if this is a 30 degree, I believe it is, on a standard chain, this looks like it's like half of that, like a 15 degree or something. Now I haven't put it on my sharpener to actually tell you that for sure, and it doesn't say it on the box. The other difference are the I forget what these are called. The chip breaker, or the chip. This controls the depth. This controls the depth of your cut. So that is obviously different also, and that could just be the maker of the chain, whatever. Other than that, it looks like a normal chain. So I don't know if I can hold this up, if you can actually see the difference. See the difference on the angle compared to the angle on that one. Huge difference, you know. So that's the difference between a ripping chain and a crosscut chain. So we're gonna get the saw cleaned up and stuff, and we're gonna get this chain on there today, and we're gonna go out there and see if we can cut those big logs the long way. You have to take about 6 inches off that one log so that it fits on the sawmill better. And we're gonna try it. We're gonna see if it works. So this would be the chain that you get if you have one of them Alaskan sawmills. This would be the type of chain that they recommend you having on your saw to use one of them sawmills. So we're going to try it. We're just going to try it by hand because I don't have the Alaskan sawmill, but we're going to try it by hand and see how it works. So I didn't spend a lot of money on this chain. This came off of Amazon. It was like under $16 if I'm not mistaken. It's called an 810. It matches my dimensions, 20 inches, 50 gauge, 72 links, and a 3/8 pitch. So it matches all my dimensions. So that's why I bought it. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money because if it doesn't work, I'd be sitting here with a chain that I ain't going to use. So for 16 bucks, I thought I'd try it, you know. I don't know. I never heard of this brand before, so I don't know how good they are. Usually if you go to like Fleet and Farm, I'm not sure what Menards carries, but they might carry them too. But you usually run into the Oregon chains, and that's what this, I believe that's what this crosscut chain is the Oregon chain. So this is something new. We're gonna try it and we're gonna see how it works. And they even sent me a sticker for my trailer. All right, guys. So this is the log from that last video, and it measured, if I remember right, it measured like 34 or 35 inches. Yeah, 35 inches to the outside of the bark. So I figured I got to get down here, like remove the bark, and then I'll be able to cut and probably like take slabs off like I did on that other log. So that's what we're going to do. I got that new chain on here, and we're going to let it rip, see what happens. So that wasn't too bad. It definitely is taking a much bigger chip. You can feel it in the saw that it's taking a much bigger chip than what a normal blade takes. But that didn't take me that long to get through that. I'm gonna flip it over and cut the little bit from the other side because my bar ain't quite long enough. But yeah, that worked much better. Right, well, it did a pretty good job. I mean, it walked a little bit right in the middle there. My bar is not that great, and like I said before, the saw runs and the thing gets so hot. Even though I got oil in there, and it still gets so hot, that bar. And then the chain stretches, and you can see the chain how loose it is right now. So now I gotta go tighten it up a little bit before I do the next one. But it cuts way better than a regular chain is what I'm getting at. So I got 4 more to do here. So this one right here is the one that was down there that Merv cut. I cut that down to about 7.5 feet, and I can barely move it. So I'm thinking if I cut off this side here where the knob is right there, where the big knot is, if I cut that side off, that'll lighten it up a little bit, and I should be able to get it on the mill. This one here is partially rotten just on this side, so I'm going to cut that, and that should cut fairly easy. Same with that piece there. That's the other half of this one here, right there. Just cut that where it's rotten there and take that off. And then I'm gonna have to take those knobs off of there too, because it won't clear that no matter what. And then this piece is left over from that first one there that Merv cut, and it's, I don't know, it's only like 4 or 5 feet there, but I'm thinking I'll do something with that. I was thinking maybe some tables or something, some rounds, cut some rounds out of it and make tables for setting my beer on when I'm sitting by the campfire or something. If I could get some slabs off of that would make a nice desk or something too, you know. So I don't know. I'll see when I get that far if I feel like putting it up on a mill or not. It's too big the way it is, so I'm gonna have to cut it. So if I cut it, then it's no good for rounds, and that's the only piece that's not rotten in the middle. All of these have a little bit of rot in them, so I'd like a nice solid piece for a table, you know. All right, so we're gonna get the rest of these cut up. I'll let you know how it goes. All right, I got those logs cut over there. I skipped that one there because after I looked at it closer, it's pretty rotten, so I'm not gonna waste my time on that one. But I did this one here and this one right over here. I have to say the chain worked pretty good. I'm still a little weak in my arms, you know, with my shoulder surgery from last spring, and I was able to do it. It seems like it has a little bit more of a tendency to kick back because it's got that bigger bite to it. So you really got to hang on to the chainsaw, you know. But other than that, it cut pretty good, you know. I'm thinking those Alaskan chainsaw mills, right? It's just a bar that you set on there, and you cut your slabs with that. That looks like it would be a lot of work pushing that chainsaw through there, and even with that blade, with that type of blade, that just seems like that would be a lot of work compared to a sawmill, you know. I know they're cheap. They're only what, $200 or something like that, but I don't know. That looks like that would be a lot of work to cut as much wood as that I cut already here with this bandsaw. So we're gonna get this big log up here, and we should be able to cut it now. So we're gonna get it up. We're gonna start sawing. Yeah, the only issue with what I did there is I'm not square to my sides, which it really doesn't matter. If I go drop and take my 6-inch cants, I'm squaring that up again when I stand them up to cut the 2x6s. I square it up again. So these big logs are a struggle, I will say that much. They are not the easiest thing to put up there. So all right, I'm gonna go get the keys and warm this thing up, and we'll be back in a little bit. So with that little bit that I took off the bottom of that log, that was just enough that I cleared. Took that slab off the top, and so far I got a 4 and 2 6s, and I got another 6 there yet. But this log wasn't as nice as it looked on the outside. It's full of ants. This black spot you see here, it's a big ant channel. Comes all the way from the end there and comes in, and the other piece that I just took off had a bunch in it too. So I mean, we'll still get quite a few nice boards here, but the ends of those will have to get cut off at some point. You don't want to put that in a wall of your building, but we'll see what they look like when I start cutting 2x6s. Here you can see a big hole right here. That was all full of ants. And then you can see on top of this piece here, it's all the way through. So, you know, I'll get 5 or 6 here and 5 or 6 there, and that one in the middle or 2 in the middle, wherever it ends up, will be kind of junk. Or I could cut a 6x6 right there out of the middle, and then use it just for skids and whatever, and it doesn't matter then, you know. But all right, we're gonna finish this one up. So I'm gonna get another 6 out of there, and then I'll see what's left, and I'll flip it over and probably take, you know, whatever it is. It's gonna be a 2 probably for sure. It looks like I can get a 2 on one end, and the other end it gets really thin over there. So I'll flip it over and see what it looks like. An inch and a half we can make in a whatever 2x4s or whatever I want. We're gonna get those other 2 logs up here and square them up yet before we change this blade. So this one here is pretty solid. That was a healthy tree yet, so we'll get that up on there and we'll square off the top, and then when we flip it, hopefully it's close. You know, if I can cut it without sawing it again with the chainsaw, but it's going to be close. So we'll get it squared up, and then we'll flip it up and see what we can get out of it. And that should be all solid. That should be a good log there. All right, welcome back. So this is the big log that was laying over there, the one that doesn't have any damage to it or doesn't look like it's got any insects in it. That's the one that was sitting down by the road that Merv cut, and I just dropped it, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. I just dropped it, and we had to cut it down to 7.5 feet because I couldn't lift it. This is all I can lift. So I put it up yesterday, and I cut a couple of slabs off at his side here, and I don't know where the footage went. I don't think I have the footage of it. I was filming, but it disappears. I don't know where it goes. So that was the side down on the ground. Here's the side that we cut with the saw, with the chainsaw. This is what I cut on the mill. So now I just took a couple of measurements, and I just need to take, it's kind of odd the way this is shaped. This is kind of flat, looks flat here, but up here we got these humps. So I just got to get them humps off of there, and maybe an inch or 2 right here, and it should fit on the saw, and we should be able to cut it then after that. So we're going to fire up the saw here. I'm trying something different. I put a board on here to try and guide me a little bit. See if I can make a little bit straighter cut. I don't know if it's really going to help, but the saw walks a little bit, and that's my bar is old, and a new bar shouldn't walk, but this one's pretty old. It's worn out, needs to be replaced, but it still gets the job done. So you know, for the cutting I do, most of my cutting is firewood, so I'm cutting, you know, smaller stuff like this here for firewood, and it works fine for that, you know. So I haven't upgraded. Now once you get into something like this, what I'm trying to do here, yeah, it's been kind of an issue, but we'll get through it. So I'm gonna back the tractor out, and we're gonna get cutting here. That thing really pulls a chip, man, I tell you. That would have taken me, I don't know, that would have taken me a couple hours with a regular chainsaw chain. So this thing really works. It works really good. And I can tell it's already starting to get dull. And that's what I say with this saw. And I'm blaming it on the saw. It could be just the cheapness of the chains. That the steel isn't, you know, 100% as good as, you know, like a, say if you go buy a regular Husqvarna chain or a steel chain, you know, it may be a better grade of material that they're made out of. It's saving me right now for these couple of big logs, and that's all I needed to get out of it. And I'll save it for the future. I can sharpen it and it'll be fine. I'll have it here just in case we run into some other big ones, you know. All right, I'm gonna get this flipped, and I'm going to cut the rest of that off. So that first cut, according to the camera, was 14 minutes. And that was with me talking and stuff too. So you're probably looking at 12 minutes or so. So So we'll see how fast this side goes. This side should go pretty quick. There ain't much there. All right, 2 minutes roughly. So that ain't too bad. That's about 15 minutes to cut a slab off like that with this chain. So that's working pretty good. I like that. All right, we're gonna get this loaded up and then we'll cut some slabs. That one stood up much straighter now using that straight edge. Got this a little bit straighter on that cut I made. And when I set it up against my stops over there, it was much better than that one yesterday. All right, so we're gonna slice this off and then we're just gonna start taking sixes all the way down. Stack them on the pile. All right, so I sliced that off. I just got a little bit of bark there yet, so some of the 2x6s will have bark on them, but it'll be fine. I want to show you something here though. So one of the issues I've been having with this setup here is that overnight, this stuff like seems to freeze in here. So you almost got to come, you know, before you shut her down at the end of the night and either open your doors up or clean this chute out right here. To me, it's like the stuff is freezing. Let me start that up once. Stuff is all clumpy in there. So I say it looks like it's freezing to me, but could be the pine sap, you know, and this wood is really wet, it seems like, just sitting out here, you know, soaking up the moisture. So it could be just freezing. But if you don't clean that out, all that wood starts building up inside by your saw blade and your belt, and you don't want that either. So you gotta make sure you clean that once in a while. If I haven't said this before, them bad boys are heavy. I don't know how I would be doing this without a tractor, you know? That tractor is probably the best investment I made in my life for doing this kind of work. I wish I would have had it years ago. So it looks like I'm gonna get one more 6 for sure, and then whatever's left at the bottom, I'll let you know what that was. But yeah, this couldn't be going better, you know, with that chain. Really helps out cut down these bigger logs. I really, like I said in the other videos, I don't have any more real big ones like that except these two oaks back here. The one isn't so bad. The other one is like way big. So I will have to use that chain on that one when we get it down. They're massive oaks. I don't know if I've ever showed you them here. These two, this one right here and then the one right behind it there, they're both dead. This one measures 30 something inches. That one there, I want to say, was just right around 30 or just under 30. So those are going to be probably next year's work though. It's not, I'm not going to tackle them this year. I might try cutting down the one in the back just to get it on the ground this winter. But this one in the front, I got to move a bunch of stuff because it's going to go right there where all my stuff is. So we're going to have to get all that stuff moved out of there first before we try cutting that one down. So I flipped that piece over and it looks like I'm going to get 4 out of there, a 4. So that's pretty much what I've been getting out of these bigger ones is 3 6s and a 4. So that looks like that's what I'm going to get out of this is a 4. So I got a clean 4 out of that. So the only thing I wish I could make them longer, those big chunks like that. It would be nice if that would be a 10-footer, not a 7-foot 6-inch or whatever I had to cut it down to. That way when I cut those 6x6s out of the middle, then I'd have a nice 10-foot, 6x6 to work with. But some of these may work for what I want to do. I want to use some of these good 6x6s for building a shelter for this saw. So when it's over here, I have it under a shelter and I don't have to keep pulling it in and out of the garage. So that's what I'm cutting all them 6x6s for, also for skidding. So the bad ones, the real ugly ones are going on skids, and the ones that are nice, clean wood, I'm going to use for that shelter. So I got one 10-footer laying over there, and I got a bunch of 7-footers here. So if I set them up a little bit on a block, the 7-foot will probably work. So we'll see. I'll have to kind of draw something up and see what I want to make. This thing's only when it's all the way up, I want to say it's 8 or 9 feet when it's all the way up. So if my roof is slanted, if I have 8 in the back and 10 in the front, it should be good, That gives me plenty of room to drive in there with the tractor and set a log on there. But I haven't drawn nothing up yet, so we're getting way ahead of ourselves here. So, all right, I'm gonna clean this up, and I'm gonna get set up for that next big one there. So what I want to do here, this is all rotten here in the middle. But what I want to do is I want to get at least a nice 6-inch chunk out of here where it's still good yet. Maybe centered around that looks like a little rotten spot, or ants are in there. But if I can get a nice 6 out of the middle here, that would be great. So what I want to do, because this thing has got such an odd shape to it, it's got this big knob here. I'm going to take that saw, I'm going to try and cut this knob off here now before I put it on the machine. And maybe even this one here a little bit cut off, and then I should be able to drop down, take a slice off and drop down and take my 6, and that's probably all I'm going to get out of this log. So right now I think I can clear it, but I'm not going to be able to come down much. I'm not going to be able to take slabs off because I'm going to start hitting right away with the guides. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to take as many slices as I can and get down wherever I can get to, and then I'm going to flip it over and then get this side. This side I'll be able to get because I cut these edges off. I suppose I could come back and cut this some more right here, you know. But I don't know. Let's see what we can do with the slicing first. I didn't get very far. I'm hitting this right here, so I'm gonna cut that off once. It's really this hunk right here that's keeping me from getting to where I want to go. So I'm going to cut that off. We'll get back to you in a minute. All right, I think I got enough sliced off there now that I can drop down a little bit here, get rid of this bark, and I'll be able to take a 6-inch out of there. Well, I got a 4 off of there, and it's a little tight right in that spot there yet, so I think I'm gonna shave a little more off, and then we can get that 6 out of there. All right, so I think I can get my 6-inch cut out of there now, and let's see, it's gonna be close. All right, I guess I'm still hitting right there, right in that spot right there. I should have flipped it and stood it up and cut it square. I thought I could just get that 6 out of there and then throw the rest away, but it's causing me more work than what it's worth right now because I tried shortcutting it and I shouldn't have did that. But we're gonna get through it. I just gotta get a little bit off of there yet. All right, I got through my 6-inch piece there. I had to cut away some more on the side here. Then I had bark. I was hitting bark on the other side, so I had to peel the bark off. So my question in the last video was, can you cut a 34-inch log on an HM130 Max? And my answer was very carefully. And that still stands today. Because without doing all this other screwing around, you're not gonna cut it, okay? It is what it is. It's a 130, you know, so that means a 30-inch max. And that's pretty much it, 30-inch max, you know. So you can do it, you know, with a little bit of extra work, you can do it. Like I say, that Alaskan sawmill and the right blade on your chainsaw, you can square it up a little bit before you put it on the sawmill, before you put it on the Woodland mills. And that's the best way of doing it. So if you know somebody that has one, or you want to go out and get one yourself, that's the best way to do it. Take a couple of slabs off of there, and so it's within the dimensions of this saw, and then you'll have no issues. So that said, if you like these videos, give me a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.